Actually, a smaller sign, a 4x5, is much easier to store than a 4x8, which most of the folks I've been involved with have been taking advantage of, was the larger sign. But it does seem like we did workshop quite a bit, spent a lot of time on this. So we sent it up as the vinyl, and then due to the conflict with the kind of the banners that the town has, then it got changed over to corrugated. Is that
well,
what happened?
Like every sign up to this point has been either corrugated plastic or Sintra, which is basically just a thin, very thin PVC board. Those that you've seen that bending over and drooping and such, that was either Sintra or corrugated plastic. Generally, the corrugated plastic is going to bend like a bow because of the wind factor and resistance. Something's going to give if we have a strong wind on that product, or so I think. The Sintra, generally with everything I've seen on the Sintra in the area, has just bends over and bow. As far as storage, I don't think a business owner will be able to store that for. He might last 6 months with it, but it'll be cumbersome wherever they keep it. With the banner material, which is anathema to what we've done here over the years, I agree with that. Very simple to store. You can print it on both sides. Long term, it'll be more cost efficient for them than the 10 corrograph corrugated plastic would be. It has just a lot of advantages all the way around. And of course, when we discussed it here at the MPC, and I suppose I did somewhat direct it to the scrim vinyl because I was tired of looking at the disorder of the signs that we had in this community, because it just was not representative of what we're looking for in Farragut, nor was it representative of what a sign company should have pride in doing. So it was. I was disappointed when I read that in the paper, and I think the board of mayor aldermen and the emails that I sent, they're aware of that. But I was nice.
Is it finished second reading?
No, it has not.
No,
It's between
it has
first and
not.
second.
Yeah, if I may, I'll provide some commentary, and Ruth and the mayor may have some different thoughts. You know, my impression has been through this process, when we did it here within this body, that the Farragut Business Alliance was really driving this change. And then Tuesday night, when they came before the board, along with Ruth, to make the explanation as to where we were at with this, it was my impression the FBA, David Purvis in this case, said, you know what, hey, thanks for your work on everything. You hit it right on, but you missed this little piece. We really didn't want banner material. We really want this. And you know what this is now, so I won't try to describe it. And so, my vote and my recommendation was that we finish the job we started and meet the needs and request of the Farragut Business Alliance. So I think it's important to know that. Now, maybe maybe my impression was wrong, but that's where I ended up where we were. So, and to clarify again, it was first reading, but the intent was to finalize the request that they had made. They felt we missed just a little bit. So.
Now, there is a time factor in this as it relates to Shop Farragut, doesn't it? Isn't it?
No, basically, because I had brought up that under the state law, if it's a significant change, it has to go back to the Planning Commission, let Tom decide whether it needs to come back to the Planning Commission or not. And it was opted that it did not. Because the moratorium on special events goes till mid-January. The meeting in the meeting, if it didn't go to the December board meeting, it would come to the December Planning Commission meeting, and then it would go to the January board meeting for second reading. And it was opted that it did not have to go back to the Planning Commission, that it would go straight to the board for a second reading at their December meeting. Whether it's approved by the board in December or January, it really doesn't affect Shop Farragut at all, and because it would go into effect after the Shop Farragut program is over.
I thought we were rushing to try to get it in place.
We just wanted to get it in place before the new year, when people start buying materials and things like that.
Well, we can certainly open up this for discussion again, and since we have another reading, then we could make modifications in between. So I don't know where we start with discussions, but you have any idea?
It's scheduled to be on your agenda on December 8th.
Oh, I know that, but these discussions that need to happen between somebody and somebody else.
Well, it really shouldn't be here at the Planning Commission because it's not a published agenda item.
Oh, I was going to say
So
that.
I don't know if you want, our Planning Commission meeting is after the next board meeting, so I don't know if, really the appropriate place would be at the board meeting as to,
Ron, would you consider making your presentation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen next month at the prior to the second reading?
What is that date?
The
I'm
8th.
afraid I have a conflict.
It's December 8th.
Yeah, it's the 8th. It's early because of the 5th Thursday in the month.
My wife will kill me.
It's not your anniversary, is it? If it's your anniversary,
You had to give it up when it was your anniversary.
Yes, it is, and I'll have been married.
kidding.
I would have been married. Let's see, I'll have been married.
Have a special event
1972 to 2000,
I was gonna say
2012. How many years is that? 40 years?
Boy, if
40?
you don't know, you're in trouble.
I mean, I love Farragut, but we got a problem.
And it's on public record, too. Well, also, Ruth,
How are you on PowerPoint presentations?
shouldn't there be some communication here with with Mr. Purvis's group?
I would feel more comfortable. I do know that Allison Souza, their new director, will not be available until after November 30th. So I do feel that it would be appropriate for them to participate in any kind of discussion. That's why the board would be the...
And in my opinion, I'd like you to look at the present ordinance that is in effect, not from the reading, but the present one that we implement, and compare it to the new one. I feel like, other than the size limitations, I don't think we've really changed it that much, because corrugated plastic was being used before the ordinance change. We saw the results of how it was. I mean, Farragut was not a pretty town when those temporary signs came up, or at least I don't think so. They were ragged and such. And Ruth and Mark, they're entitled to their opinion, and they have. I'm sure they have some valid reasons for saying that. They would be against the scrim vinyl, but I think we get a nice, neat appearance. It'll stay that way. It can be easily corrected. If not, it won't bow or bend. They can roll it up when they finish, put it back in the back office, bring it out 4 times a year. It'll still retain that nice digital print that you can put on it. You can put calendar or cast vinyl on it too, which is another story. But you can do a digital print both sides, make it look nice, pop with color, give everything that a retailer would want.
Ron, maybe the lady you were talking about that's also in the sign business could do the presentation on your anniversary for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And it might be an either-or situation where it's written in the ordinance you could use either or, but obviously they need to discuss the pros and cons and how it affects historically what the town's done with banners and so forth. But maybe you could you could tap somebody to do the presentation.
For the sake of my marriage and the sanity of myself, I appreciate that very much.
Well, Ruth, isn't this another situation where need to coordinate with?
Actually, they would just need to contact Allison that they want to participate. And I don't really know how she does it at the board. I'm guessing because they usually just take in public comments. So if you're there or your cohort is there, then you can talk.
Well, it's of course I'm here as a citizen, and I'm just one small peg in the hole here in Farragut, and I'd like everybody to make their own opinions and do what they feel like is right. Do your research, please. I'd appreciate that, and form your own opinion. And if I'm overruled, well, I'll go back in my little hole and leave everybody alone.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry to take all your time. I know we have a short agenda and we'd like to go home. So.
Thank you. Mayor, I believe you have something you're going to,
Well, I'll just announce, as I did Tuesday night at the board meeting, that we were named, and I'm sure everybody's heard this, we were named the most business-friendly city of the top 50 cities in Tennessee this week. Now, there are those who are going to scoff at this, and they're going to say, what a joke. You can't do business in Farragut. And but it's not a joke. Companies looking to relocate pay attention to this stuff. And I can tell you that, for example, and I've been told from the source that, for example, Costco would not be in East Tennessee if they could not be in Farragut, period. That's what they said. So it makes a difference. And certainly we're happy to have this ranking, although being number 2 last year wasn't that bad, was it? Okay, carry on.
approval of the minutes. Do we have any changes? Do I have a motion?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Move on to item number 3, discussion and public hearing on amendment to the Farragut Municipal Code, Title 9, Chapter 4, Sign Ordinances. Section 9-40631, off-premise directional signs to clarify trailblazer sign placement locations.
In your packet is a copy of Resolution 1115, which recommends approval of Ordinance 1126. We talked about this at our last workshop session about this, and our intent was that this clarify our ordinance and our intent with where these signs are located. One of the comments that we had talked about is that we wanted to also clarify that any entity had to participate in the TDOT Trailblazer program. So we added the words in that introductory paragraph saying business establishments that cater to the interstate travelers, and then added that have exited the interstate at the Campbell Station Road interchange and that provide gas, food, or lodging, are located within the C2 Regional Commercial District, and then participate in the TDOT Trailblazer program, and that front, and then we had our located on, but we just had front on. So we do recommend approval of Resolution PC 1115, which does recommend approval of this sign ordinance amendment to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and Ordinance 1126.
Question or comments? And I have a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Our next item and the next rest of our agenda is for discussion purposes only. Discussion on amendment of the Farragut Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 4, General Provisions and Exceptions, Section 20, Parking and Loading, to clarify parking requirements established by the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Over the years, the Board of Zoning Appeals has made different determinations on parking requirements for various uses. I included in the staff write-up the wording that is in our ordinance that states that if there's uses not specifically mentioned herein, off-street parking requirements shall be determined by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Generally speaking, if we're dealing with an applicant, we often recommend that they get an ordinance amendment, and those of you that have been on the commission for a while know that we've had a lot over the years, not as many in the most recent past, but for example, with the Icarium, we never had a use like that, and so they've actually come in and gotten a couple different amendments to clarify what the parking requirements should be. Our parking requirements, when we develop these, we look at